Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I'm your host, A.D. Walker, and I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for being a part. Let's see. Where am I putting this? Make sure it's in the right space. Um, do that. All right. So today we are talking about um, are we too focused on race? Has it information? I'll put that right. And we're discussing, is it a distraction to our growth? Uh, has it become such a focus that we can't get anything else done? Blessings, Lisa. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. So we're gonna dig into that. We're gonna talk about that. And I appreciate you guys being here. Make sure you share. Make sure you connect with others. If you're in Facebook, if you're in the Facebook land, make sure you tag somebody. Tag somebody to be a part. Uh, Share, tag. Someone definitely needs to hear this. And make sure you let everybody know that the brothers are in the building. I may have passed on today. He may be running behind, or it just be me to hear my voice for the next hour. But yeah, so today I kind of want to dig into that because I've noticed it's I don't know, like I feel like we can multitask, but you can never honestly multitasking is taking one part of your energy one place and your other part of your energy another place. You can never give 100% to everywhere, um, no matter how it stands up or how it look. Um, Hey, good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Ghost Tan. I may have seen you before, but I said I think it's less about focus and more about making a spectacle about it. It's important discussion that needs to be had. People just tend to get heated very easily. Man, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Um, yeah, I think that the issue becomes very sensitive on both sides. Like it sometimes can be a difficult conversation to have, but it needs to be had. Because some everything isn't racial. Sometimes we're looking like, all right, it looks like it may be. Let's step back a little bit. Um, I personally hate to think about it like that. I personally hate to have it on my mind. Like you go somewhere and you're standing in line and like the line is not you ever stand in line at any place like a restaurant or something. There's no specific way of structuring of the line, and you're standing there and someone else comes in of another race, let's just say someone white, and they just happen to stand in the right space and they get called next over you. Right. And so your mind, especially being black, you try not, and oh, God forbid, the person on the other side of the counter is white as well. You're like, you don't want to go there. You don't want it to be that. Hey, Kathy, good morning to you. Good morning. um you don't want to think about that. you know you want to be like, well, I just wasn't positioned right. I just, because it happens. You come in and you stand in the wrong space. Your spacing is standing where the people are waiting for like an order, and not the space that waiting to make your order. It just simple mistake. Simple mistake. Right. You don't want you try not to go there. um because I've been on both sides. Good morning, Dr. Rollins. I've worked in a retail space, and I've had those incidents happen, you know, and I'm having to defend, my white coworker because it was a mistake, and I see it happening. Like I seen my black customer come in first, and then the white customer behind them. But then where my black customer shifts to, you can't see him as well, and I already see it about to happen. And before they point, I'm like, God, get my foot right there, because then they move too far over. But I know you can't see them because you're moving and hustling. But like I've like came to the point where I programmed myself to kind of watch for these things, because a small mistake, small incident, can blow up your weight, because some of my folks is cool. Some of them come in. I've had some of my people come in with like a chip on their shoulder. You can see them like, they got that. I wish somebody would today. Today's the day that I'ma just lose it. I'm waiting for something to happen. I'm like, this ain't gonna be the place where you're gonna find that. So so we're gonna have that discussion. We're gonna dig into that. All right. Pastor's in the wing. We're gonna drop this intro. We're gonna dig into this. We're gonna have a great conversation, and I'm looking forward to you guys sharing your thoughts on this as well, because it's a conversation that needs to be had. All right, Leo, definitely, you got a good comment. I'm gonna get that. All right, we'll be right back.
I didn't want to catch that. Morning. Good morning. Welcome to another edition. Good morning, everybody.
This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. Ready to go live? Go to bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. That's bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. This episode is also brought to you by Self. Build credit now. Go to bit.ly/now build credit. bit.ly/now build credit.
All right. Good morning, Pastor. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
All right.
Good morning, everybody.
Yes, indeed. Everybody's in the building. So make sure you share. Thank you, Cheryl. Yes, this is going to be a great topic. Ghostan said it's also a gamble as well, especially in retail space, since some people just don't like getting approached. So you look for cues, and sometimes it just happens to be white or black person. Yes, definitely. All right. Hey, Mama Corey, great morning to you. All right. Let's see. Hey, Sam, good morning. So today we're talking about, as you can see, we're too focused on race. And hey, Richard, I saw you come in. There you go. Word of wisdom. Appreciate you. All right. Awesome. Amazing, Pastor. Awesome. All right. The Right Reverend. Awesome. Amazing, Pastor.
Good morning, everybody.
So yeah, so in the discussion and talking about our focus on race, I was thinking, are we spending a lot of our energy on it too much, or is there too much? Or do you feel like, and this is one of the topics I know I've approached before. Have you ever been somewhere and you try not to have that chip on your shoulder? Like I was speaking of the line situation where you're in line, or those lines that are kind of like fuzzy, like there might be a line here, or this is a line, or is this the line? Is this where I stand? And a white counterpart comes in after you, and they get called, but it's in your mind, you don't want to go there, but you're like, maybe I was in the wrong space. Maybe they didn't see me, because for me, I don't want to go there. Like, I don't want to think that, I don't want it to have to escalate there or be that kind of situation, because I don't feel like everybody would do something like that. Even if they're not I'll say, for lack of a better way of putting, a fan of black people, like I'm at work, just, you got to call everybody either way, like someone would cherry pick. No, I don't want that dude. I'll take the white lady back there. Hey, Karen, you come up. Like I don't want to deal with black people today. Karen, come on up. Hey, Mike, what's up? Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Yvonne. Good morning.
Why'd you call her Karen?
I know. I'm sorry. It just flowed out. It just flowed out. I don't think anybody wanted to really deal with a Karen. Karens are annoying all the way around. But so have you ever been in a place where you've had that I like to say the chip on your shoulder, the where something happens and you don't want it to go there. You like, is it because of that? Is it because I'm black? Or it just happens to be a mistake?
Yes. I mean, the reality is most of us, if not all,
right,
have been there.
Right. Hey, good morning, Keita.
And for those that say they haven't been there, I would proclaim the term implicit bias.
True.
It's just the truth because, this goes all the way back to scripture. Why do we recognize the Hittites, the Amorites, right? The Jebusites,
right?
What's the difference between, a Greek and a Jew,
Right.
Why did Paul have to have dual citizenship?
Right.
Right. So it has always been, race has always had a factor. And again, if you look at it biblically, race played a role biblically. Israelites were not Egyptians, therefore they were put into slavery.
Right.
So how can we not acknowledge that race plays a role? How can we not acknowledge that there is going to always be focus on race? We were made different for a reason. We weren't made different to despise one another because of our differences. We were made different to be able to come together in spite of our differences, in spite of how different we are. So to answer the question, are we too focused on race? It's a matter of perspective. It depends on who you ask. It depends on the situation, but I would recognize that there are times that we probably are focused on it when it's not the case, but that's because we're victims of our environment, our culture, our experience.
Right. Because I think, situations happen and you try, and I know for me, I try not to look at it from that lens. Like I let that try to be my last conclusion. Like why would they, is it because, I try not to let it go there, because I think sometimes it gets pulled, what they call the race car. The race car gets pulled so fast, it's before any further thought is taken, like, is it because they're black or was it because of another situation? Or, would be bad too, but was it because they're a man or, or something, and I try not to let it be the first thing I pull, the first thought I have. And I don't know. And I kind of hate it, right? Because it's that struggle. It's kind of like, man, it's almost now it's like the flip. Like, man, if I was white, I wouldn't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
It's not even a thought. It's, so I think that part makes me mad. Like, why do I even have to think about that? Why does it have to be part of the conversation? And then what bothers me, I hate when it's pulled too fast and then like you realize, well, it was a criminal act happening, with further review, you can see that the person may have actually had a weapon, and it's pulled so fast. Now it's like, oh, now it invalidates another part of our fight, oh, look at him. See, always pulling a race card, and sometimes even when stories like, I'm like, man, everybody chill out for a minute. Let's see more of the video, oh, you can see there's nothing. Yeah, it's probably because, so I think that's my struggle sometimes. Like,
but see, to me, I think that, stereotypical vision,
right, Right.
versus racism
Right.
are different viewpoints, right?
Yes.
I think that if you live a life where you're constantly being blamed for something, then don't be surprised if I live defensively.
Right. Yes. Yes, indeed.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think we have to chop it up. We have to separate those issues, because a lot of times, your view is a stereotypical view of a behavior that's not even attached to the color of your skin.
Right.
Sometimes it's where you come from.
Right. True.
Right?
Right.
What side of the tracks you come from.
Right.
And that could be white, black, purple, or green.
Yep. Yep.
People from the South do this.
Right.
People from the North do this.
Yeah, do this. Right.
Oh, you're a Northerner. Oh, you're a New Yorker. Oh, I know how you all are.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what color you are.
Right.
Right. So there's a lot here to unpack.
Right.
I was trying to look at some of those comments.
Yeah, let me see if Goldstein, he had a good one. He said it can be that's the struggle. There's bias, and people sometimes do it in a workspace. Sometimes it's just an honest mistake. Yes, indeed. Let's see.
We were driving last night in Midtown, and I pulled up at a corner heading to go out. We were going out to dinner, and there were some people who did not look like me crossing the street. And I noticed that our doors weren't locked. And I hit the lock as they were passing the car.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Now, did that have anything to do with them? No, it had everything to do with the fact that I just happened to notice that the doors were unlocked. Now, had I been walking across the street,
I heard go do the stair light,
and I heard the click, and they were in the car, didn't look like me, I'd have been like, see,
right, that's good,
right?
That's good, yes, yes, indeed. Let's see. Michael said, ingrained biases are so hard to recognize. Example, my kids were watching a show that is new. The Asian kid was intelligent, the black kid athletic and silly. Blonde was ditzy. The brunette was the smartest one, along with the white male counterpart. Interested. He said, Goldstein says, there is today a healthy discussion about race, historical injustices, how to fix institutionalized bias. But I feel like the discourse online tends to bring the worst of people. Indeed. Because even, people put their opinions, put their post up, and everybody has something to say. Everybody has a side. Everybody has an opinion. Either it's the worst or they agree. Oh, you man, say it again. Tell it to the people in the back. Or this is the worst post ever. This is such a lie.
But how is that any different than being in a nightclub? Watch this.
Okay.
Being in a nightclub, and you got and the nightclub is filled with, let's say 20% this generation. Okay. 20%, the previous generation, 20%, the generation before that.
Right.
And you have all today's music playing, and all of a sudden,
right, they
put on, Lenny Williams. You hear the song. Right. You hear the opening, right? Right? And then you have the young people sitting around watching the previous generation go, oh! Right?
Right.
And they're looking like, what? Because you're connected to an era.
Right.
And because I don't understand the era
that's good. Yeah.
that you come from.
Right.
I'm going to now define you. I'm going to put you in a certain category. Right. And it's so easily done mentally with us as a people. We're so quick to categorize individuals. Right. You see someone with a mullet.
Right.
How are you going to categorize the person in 2021 walking around with a mullet?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of stuck in the 80s there.
Yeah.
Right.
But, you're gonna assume a certain type of behavior from that individual.
Right.
Just like someone with a Confederate flag You're going to make assumptions.
Right.
You see someone walking around with a T-shirt that's got a big giant fist on the front of it.
Right.
You're going to make assumptions.
Right. Right.
Right.
Right. Right.
You
Same
see
with
someone walking around with their pants hanging down
Right. Right.
to their knees. You're going to make an assumption.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And to the earlier comment about, hey, Dr. Burton, good to see you on here, man. To the comment about, I think it was Michael Gibson who said, the Asian child and the
oh, right.
It's like there's an assumption that when they're Asian, they're raised in a more controlled and disciplined and structured environment.
Right.
That leans towards academics.
Right.
That could be true in a lot of cases.
Right.
Right. But I've met some wild Asian folks with absolutely no discipline.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I've also met some Black children that would run circles around Asian. So you have all of that intertwined in every culture, every race, every category.
Right.
Right. You could have someone walking around with their hair locked and down. Right. Thank you, Dr. Rollins. We have these implicit biases.
Right.
We lean in a certain direction,
right.
Because of how what we've been exposed to and how we were raised. So it just goes without saying. You could see someone with locks,
right.
hair looking just as natural as it can be, locked down their backside, with the big oversized T-shirt on, baggy pants, and oversized boots, unlaced,
right.
And he's the valedictorian of the school.
Right. Right.
Right.
Right. Right.
That's just how he chooses to dress.
Okay.
But
True.
you will put him in a category.
Right. Right.
Right. And you'll make assumptions because you feel like typically people who look like that act a certain way. And it's just not the case. What we do is we emphasize, we blow up people who do act a certain way, who happen to be looking like that. And we make that the norm, make that the standard for that. And so we do that in just like someone with bifocals on as thick as a bottle, right? Hair combed over to the side, shirt buttoned all the way up to the top,
right? And
can rap like Eminem,
right? right. Making assumptions, right?
Doesn't do any homework,
right? Not a thing, right? Right. Fooling everybody, right? Oh, let's see. Human beings were hardwired into making assumptions. It was a defense mechanism that was very useful in primitive lifestyle. Today is not needed, but our lizard brain has it. I think yes, assumptions in certain respect are not good. But assumptions in the pattern of behaviors or characteristics, you can kind of tell folks that you're dealing with from handshakes and just small conversation, like based on sometimes history, based on, because people will, when you're having dealings or, even business dealings, you can kind of sum them up. So assumptions aren't always bad. They're just bad when we use just our visual, just the way they look at how they look, Even now, I will say a little further, even if you begin to talk, because some people have rough accents, and I say rough accents, from either way south or way north, because some of our people, I'm saying, I'm going, so it can get kind of rough if you're not from that area. It'll be like, you're talking so fast. What? What did he say? It does matter. Like I said, assumptions aren't horrible. They're just bad when they're made too quickly. What I love? What's that?
I love ESPN. Like recently they hired Kendrick Perkins. You all know Kendrick Perkins. He won the NBA championship with the Boston Celtics when Kevin Garnett,
I thought that name's not familiar. Okay.
Ray Allen, right?
Yes.
And Kendrick Perkins is as country as they come. He's a Southern dude with this country voice. He's got this Southern drawl. I mean, he typically, when you look, he is not the person you would expect to stand up and give a commencement speech at any college anywhere.
Wow.
But he knows basketball.
Right.
And he's comfortable in his own skin.
Right.
And he just landed a huge contract with ESPN
Wow.
because people love to hear him comment on sports.
Right.
And he's giving people a run for their money on ESPN. Right. He is all over. He's everywhere.
Right.
And I mean, he is shining. And
Wow.
if you don't pay attention, you won't understand anything he's saying. But
Wow.
but the reality is you had to put him on,
Mm-hmm.
you had to put the camera on him, and you had to let him talk so that you could understand and learn that he knows what he's talking about,
Wow.
that he can put a sentence together, that he can have strong commentary
Right.
and cast an opinion, a valid opinion. What, right or wrong, he has something to say.
Right.
You may not agree, but he makes his points clear. He speaks with clarity. You know, he has a really, really strong draw.
Right.
And I'm saying that if, as a nation, I'm just talking America,
Right.
if we could take time out
And
and be patient and listen
that's good.
to more of our big perks,
Right. Right.
what a better place, what a wonderful place
Right.
this
I
would
agree.
be.
I agree.
Right?
Right. Right. That's good. He said big perk. He said big perk, keeping it real country.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna go check him out. I don't think I've ever heard him on because I don't really watch sports like that. So I'm gonna check him out. Kendrick Perkins. Richard said there's 50 shades of gray in assumptions, differences in insight on business deals or anything in life. Yes, indeed. What did I see? Where was that question I seen up? Richard said sometimes behaviors are inbred by bad parenting and early years environment. Well, yeah, I think a lot of our assumptions can come from, of course, how we grew up, where we grew up. You know, our parents are the first people that teach us, you know, certain things.
The Hatfields and the McCoys.
Right.
My granddaddy didn't like your granddaddy.
Right.
My daddy didn't like your daddy.
And all you hear in the
I
household
don't like
is,
you.
right. Well, and all you hear is we don't like them. That's all you need to know. Or they stole or whatever.
No one knows why.
Right. They just
Yeah.
right. You ever have those?
No one understands that it was over a game of dominoes,
Right.
and he was a bad loser, a poor loser, right?
Right. Until, like you said, and going back to your last comment, until we sit down and talk. You know, like, why are we beefing? You know, you get the story, you're like, over that? Like, how long ago? You know, and then you think about all of what we lost because of this, you know, of this issue that is small and dumb to everybody but him. Like, he the only one that taking it to heart. Oh, so I think, I feel like we do need to have those conversations. And I truly feel like, you know, we know that organizations thrive off of division. We know the both sides, the left and the right, thrive off of division. You know, if we to come together on some issues, push some things like term limits and, you know, certain things together, you know, I believe, you know, change will happen. But I feel like, you know, they push both sides, push the narrative of, hey, you need not like all of them like that. You know, like, hey, you need to watch out for them, you know. And they thrive off the division. But if we really all sat down and had a conversation about what makes it different, what's our issues and what's the problems, we'll find out that we have a lot in common. Most people understand, like, oh, you know, because you ever hear something or you're against something, then you hear someone explain it a different way or explain all of it. You're like, oh, now I see what the beef was. Now I understand where you're coming from. You know, if you sit down and listen, like I've had the opportunity, like even going through YouTube, listening to people, like, let me sit down and see where they're coming from. You know, and he's like, okay, I can see where your anger is. I can see you know, the problem or the issue, where you're the vision that you're seeing. And even if you watch, you know, certain news organizations, like, they pump it up so hard. I was like, I can see how people get angry over this. Let's see. I goes in and said, we hate them.
I'd love to share something, because this is the mindset of certain folks also. This is, I'm going to share this. You know, we got to get to the scripture. Let's look at, we just preached this Sunday, brother. We just preached this Sunday.
Okay.
Exodus chapter 1, Exodus chapter 1, verse 9. Exodus chapter 1, verse 9. This is after Joseph. You know, everybody knows Joseph, who was in the prison, got out of prison, became the second man in charge over Egypt, right? Joseph, whose brother sold him into slavery. And so they end up in Egypt, and Joseph dies, right? And then a new king has been brought in.
Right.
The new king looks at the children of Israel, looks at how many there are, looks at how mighty they are, and all of that kind of stuff. And then he makes a proclamation. And this is what he says in Exodus. And I'm talking about perspective. How did we get here? Something as little, something as simple as this. Verse 9 says, and he said unto his people. Now, this is the king talking to Egyptians. He said, and he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth away out, if any war arises, his fear is that the Israelites, who he said were more and mightier than they, would join their enemies and fight against them. So I don't want that. Look, they are a mighty people. We got to be wise with this, because if a war breaks out and they join in with our enemies, they could destroy us. That's what he's saying. I'm paraphrasing. They can fight against us. And so get them up out of the land. And so they set over the Israelites taskmasters. They began to enslave them. And it says here, and they caused them to build for Pharaoh treasured cities, Pithom and Ramses. So they put them into slavery. They made the children of Israel to serve the Egyptians. They made their life bitter with hard bondage. This is what happened. And after that, the Israelites were looked at as a weaker people, simply because one leader was afraid of them. He wasn't afraid of them because they were weak. He was afraid of them because he saw their strength. But from then on, Israelites were looked at as the weaker nation. Right. So when you have a mindset about a certain people or a certain type of people, you know, where does it come from? Where does it originate from? Who said that black people are inferior to white people? Who made that decision, and why did they make that decision? Did they make that decision because they battled against a black person, you know, intellectually, physically, and they were superior? Or did they plant that seed because they felt they were inferior and they needed other people to jump on the bandwagon? Talk to me, somebody.
That's good.
Where does your perception, where does your bias originate from? What seed was planted in your life to cause you to think the way that you think about race? I would dare say that there's a different perspective with someone who deals with racism from a police officer getting pulled over on the side of the road as a minority versus someone who walked outside their home and had a cross burning.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, definitely. A whole nother perspective. You said the scared people said that, right. Scared people said that, hence fragility. Pray for me, don't talk about me, right. Yeah,
but the thing is, if I call you weak, what have I done?
You basically breaking me down.
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to make me
No,
inferior.
I haven't broken you down. I've
Right.
only called you weak.
Right.
You decide whether or not it breaks you down.
Right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Now, if you start
True.
walking and acting like a weak person,
Right. Yep.
right?
Yep. That is true. That is true. That's good. Oh,
Your daddy wasn't nothing. You ain't gonna never be nothing. So I'm nothing.
Ooh. Yeah, that's rough.
And so you begin to walk in the declaration that someone has placed on you.
Right.
And then that permeates through your family,
Yep.
through an entire generation, and now you become those kind of people.
Well, yep. Yep.
That's when you said earlier how we make it true
Right. Yep.
what they say
Yes.
in certain areas and through certain people. So that and I know I'm talking too much.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Oh, right. Here you go. Like Ron said, that's trauma informing our perspective. That's why there's so much conversation about acknowledging the trauma racism has caused. Yes. Indeed. They said there's actually a possible route to skin superiority across history. Those who were royalty had fairer skin, and those who tend the fields, skin shades, were also intertwined with class and worth. Yeah.
Yes, but that only goes back to a certain point in time,
Right.
because there's a time previous to that where it was the opposite.
Right. Right.
Right. It was opposite. It wasn't the fairer skin that had the power. It was the dark skin
Darker
that had
skin. Right.
that was considered royalty. And so and that's what I mean. Mindsets were changed.
Right.
You know, but the reality is, and that's why I go back to the scripture. Jesus had a message for all races.
Right.
And what's funny is the Bible says to the Jew first,
Right. Yes.
and then to the Gentile.
Yep.
So my question would be, why is it to the Jew first? Well, because that was his people.
Right.
That's where he came out of. Micah said, out of you one shall come forth.
Right.
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 So that's why it's important to know the word of God, to put things in its proper perspective.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that's for the Bible believing folks. For all you other folks, you got to figure it out your own way.
Yes.
But that's just
Yes,
Brian
indeed.
talking.
All right. Oh, speaking of Brian talking, tonight it's 7:00. We have Bible study with Pastor Brian McCurry, Solomon's Temple Christian Ministries. So definitely stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right. And we back. All
I
right.
love Richard's comment. I've been likened to Jeremiah and Daniel, and many speak that I'm a special person, intelligence, intellectual, and spiritual, but also a rebel. You can't have the first three
Right.
and not include rebel,
Right.
right? No one will ever recognize your intelligence if you don't rebel against the norm.
Mm. True. True.
Intelligent people are not the ones who are always in between the lines.
Right. Right. That's good.
That's what I love about college education, right? I found out that an undergrad validates your ability to be taught, to be trained, to set a goal and accomplish a goal. You know, your postgrad work, your master's degree validates your ability to teach,
Right.
to train. Your doctorate is the creative side where you can change the narrative,
Right.
right?
Right.
That's Dr. Rollins.
Right. Right.
Because I'm saying she got her doctorate degree, and what has she done? She's taken this book, right?
Yep.
And this book is changing the narrative
Right.
about African American fathers,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
She's going against the grain,
Yep.
and she's being discovered,
Right.
she's being revealed, exposed
Right.
to the world because she's rebelling against the norm,
Right.
right?
Yep. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Dr. Rollins. Yeah, take a note. Yeah, take note. Make sure you follow her. She got some great things happening.
Yeah. But that's anybody on that
Right.
level, you know.
Right.
We just happen to have one.
Right. Right. Right.
I got a doc.
Right. Oh,
You know.
Speaking of staying connected, yeah, no, the bad segue. Make sure you join our community. Stay connected. Text LW into 84576. Text LW into 84576. You'll never miss an episode of The Brothers, Purpose for Forever. We had a great husband roundtable talk last night, as well as you won't miss out on any of the Sisters of Legacy conversation. I said never had a college education pastor, but met many with a degree who not been able to do certain things. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That and stay connected. Also tonight at 8:30. Speaking of Sisters of Legacy, we have the Sisters of Legacy coming up tonight at 8:30. And I think I just said that twice. just for your hearing. So definitely check it out. We'll be right back after this and we'll continue this conversation. All right. So make sure you check that out. And if you want to know when that comes on, you might miss it. Make sure you text LW into 84576. Text LW into 84576. All right. So let's see. Where's my thing at? There we go. Are we too focused on race? Now, do you feel like that sometimes we spend too much energy focused on it? Like, I don't know, like there are a lot of organizations that are focused on, equality and things of that nature. Do you think if we shifted some of our energy just towards building our community instead of focusing on equality, you think it may be better? I always think about that, like, because some of these organizations they get a lot of money, resources, donations, grants, and things of that nature based on either studies of race or focus on equality, justice and equality. And I'm fine with that. But sometimes I feel like maybe if some money is funneled into our community to just help us to become better, you think it'd be money better spent, if I'm saying that correctly? Or do you think, focusing on the inequality is the energy we should put ourselves into? Like instead of focusing on what's wrong, right? We should focus on how to make us better or better. I think about that, because it's a lot of energy, of course, into the discrimination portion of it. But I feel like if we put our energies into our community for us just to get better, we may be better served. Let's see. What's your thought on that?
I don't see how that's not happening today. I
Okay.
mean, there are plenty of people who pour all of their energy into efforts to improve, enhance, uplift their communities.
Right.
I
Right.
see it happening, in every area, in every community. There's someone who wants to improve their community. There's someone who wants to improve the interaction between neighbors on their street. Who's the person that plans the block party?
Right.
So I think all of that is happening. I just, and you said a couple of things because you talked about programs, and the programs exist.
Right.
I just feel like you have to have a heart for better,
Right. Right.
and sometimes you have a heart for your success, not necessarily a heart for better. And the motives of someone's, the modus operandi is what is the real telltale. And the problem is we don't really find that out until the damage is done.
Okay.
I could run for public office and I can tout, I want this, I want that,
Right. Right. Right.
but the truth is I just want everybody to know my name. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
But we
so-
don't really know.
Yeah. And
Right.
so with the deep rooted desire for everyone to know my name,
Right.
but I'm riding on this agenda, then I'm not sincere about the agenda. So how can I expect it to really prosper
Right.
if the person driving the agenda doesn't have a heart truly for the agenda, but really has a heart for something else? And that's something that you really have to examine yourself, because
Right.
you can sow seeds of discord just because of self-serving,
Right. Yes.
right?
Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, I could put a bunch of people in the room and talk about an agenda, but the truth is my contentment is getting 100 people in the room.
Right. Right.
What have we
Right.
really accomplished? I mean, we
Right.
see that all the time. You
Right.
got,
I made it. I got all these folk in the room.
I got all these people in the room listening to
Right.
me talk, but I don't
Right.
really have a vision for where we're going.
Right. Yeah. And you're right about that. I've seen that. And then
Yeah.
like I've been in the back
And
of
that's
the room.
why
Yeah.
that's why the inner fighting and all that stuff begins to
Right.
happen, because other agendas begin to take root,
Right.
because you don't really have your vision is short-sighted.
Right. Yeah.
You were happy with getting everybody in the room.
Like my goal is like, all right, so where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Like we're all here. We're all
Yeah.
here. Yeah. Like where do we
Yeah.
go? What's the
Mhm.
next step?
Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
And that can be
Yeah.
damaging. And that's what happens in a lot of cases with community.
Right.
It's not so much that external things happen or external challenges happen. Sometimes you never even get beyond the first meeting.
Right.
You never get beyond the first grant,
Right. Right.
right?
Wow. Yeah.
Dr. Rollins can talk about grants.
Right.
How many has she written in the last 10 years?
Right.
You
Right.
keep going, you keep growing,
Right.
know. And what started as a $5,000 grant, years later, and you keep pursuing and you're
Right.
successful and you have vision,
Right.
that $5,000 grant can turn into a $10 million grant,
Right.
because you have vision
Right.
and you've been able to accomplish things.
You're right.
But the Bible says without vision,
People perish. Yes, indeed.
right?
Yes, indeed. People perish.
Yeah. So
Um,
I think that's a lot of it. I think sometimes we're broken internally,
right.
because when you really come together, it's funny. I think about Malcolm X. Like, I remember seeing the movie. I wasn't there on the street that day, but I saw the movie that reenacted the moment when they stood in front of the hospital and Denzel Washington was standing there, and he had all these men behind him.
Right. Right.
Right. And he raised his hand, pointed,
Right.
and everybody turned and
Right.
walked and marched off. And that police officer said, what?
That's one. That's too much for one man to have.
That's too much power for one man to have.
Yes.
Right. And my point is that today you have Louis Farrakhan,
Right.
right? So that means that at some point someone cast vision
Right.
that
Right.
has transcended
Mm-hmm.
the issues
Yeah.
of racism, because they're still one of the strongest and broadest groups of Black people
Right.
in the world
Right.
today.
Right.
You can't have made it this far without vision,
True.
right? And no one has been able to break them up. They've
Right.
had internal struggles,
Yeah.
but the overall vision has been able to overcome all of the internal struggle. Even at the death of Malcolm X, that, you know, the nation is still there,
Yeah.
still alive, still moving forward. And so I'm just using that as an example. And so I'm saying that it's important to have vision. So when you talk about improving the relationship with people, improving the community and all of that, what it takes is vision, and you have to have people to buy into the vision,
Right.
period. But if you don't have anything really to say, if your conversation lasts 5 minutes and there's nothing more after that, that's not vision.
Right. You're right.
That's a project. I hope this is making sense. I don't know. You know, we talk about race. Are we too focused on race? You talked about the community. You know, what is it going to take? And I'm saying I believe that a lot of those things are happening today. They are happening. We've got a mountain to climb.
Right.
But they're happening. I mean, there's great momentum, and one of the challenges with the momentum is there are systems in place that just don't want to see a certain group prosper.
Right.
Beyond where they are.
It
goes back to Exodus. They are too strong. They're mightier than we. Right. And we don't want to wake up one day and they have aligned themselves with our enemy.
Right.
You know, I believe that is the narrative that is out permeating society today. They're doing too much. Right. They've got too much potential. And now we need to do something to bring them to a screeching halt. Right. For fear that they may come against us one day.
Right.
Dr. Rollins, power and influence.
Hold on. Let me get the other one. I know you're going to jump on that. All right. So Mike said one main reason we constantly focus on race issues because they say equality for all, and that becomes a macro inclusive of all instead of a micro focus on the house that's burning. Indeed. Richard said equality and opportunity and money to improve communities and up level opportunity. The way to finally disband gang culture. Yes, that's a whole another conversation. We know that money doesn't make you a good parent. Time, focus, commitment makes you a good parent. Too much money being poured out with no love for change. That's good. That's good. And then Dr. Rollins said, yes, power and influence is key. We have a plethora of organizations doing good things, but sometimes it's hard to see. And we question whether anything is happening because the circle of influence power is small. Yeah, Dr. Rollins, I think that's it right there, though. Like, you know, you see like news stories and you see like, oh, wow, on Black, you know, on this 3-block radius, you know, like this organization. And in my head, I'm like, man, can we get them to expand at least through the town, through the city, you know, affect the state, you know, like I 100% agree on that, because the ones that seem like they're the most influential, you know, doing some of the greatest work, you know, they seem so small, you know, like that I watched a news story where, you know, 3 organizations are like working together to do something. Oh, no, they weren't even working together. They were like so separate. In my mind, I'm like, they are 3 different components. If they can just come together, you know, and I think there would be powerful and impactful, you know, like they already impacting in smaller drops. But I think because one was like a mentoring to help kids get jobs. The other was getting kids out of gangs. And then another was housing, you know, like, I'm like, man, they're just so separate. But yet if they were together, to just come together, you know, instead of being so separate, you know, and I get, and I understand, and I know it's that who's going to be the lead, who's going to be the president, the CEO, you know, in charge. Yeah, who's going to be in charge? I think if we can get past that part, if we can somehow figure out how you don't have to be in charge, but if you're just in front with me, you know, because in the end, it's like who can stand up and probably speak or present the best, who's great at raising donations, like whoever can stand up and represent the organization in the most impactful way is the one that at least initially may lead, and then and then there's a second, like, okay, you're over this division, but when we get this $9 million, it trickles around the whole organization. I don't know, like but
nobody wants their 1 million. Nobody wants their 1 million to do their piece. They want the whole 9. They want to govern the whole piece, right? Right. That's what I used to appreciate about Saddleback, Rick Warren back in the day.
Okay. Yes.
Rick Warren wrote these books, and he talked about small group sessions, small group studies.
Right.
The development of the small group, like you have a big church with 10,000 people, break it up into chunks. It's essentially the along the lines of the 12 tribes of Israel. Right. One person can be an overseer, but you have to break it up into smaller chunks so that you can effectively manage. Right. But what happens is when one tribe leader wants to add another tribe under himself because he feels like he's qualified to run 2 tribes. Another leader said, well, I'm qualified to run 3 tribes. Yes, absolutely, Dr. Rollins. It's that whole territorial thing, and that's what kills us. Like it's just never enough. Right. I put you over 50 people, but now you want 100. It's okay to have the 50. We're more effective with you over the 50. Than we are with you over the 100, but we don't want to. What happens is we have the mindset of who are you to tell me that I'm incapable. You're limiting my abilities now. I'm out. Why do you get to tell me that? I could sit where you are. You listen. That's what happens to us. Someone has a problem. Well, I don't think we should put Johnny over that project. I think we should put Alice over that project. Right. Why can't Alice help Johnny? Oh, well, why does it have to be a man? Well,
right. Oh gosh. Like yeah.
And that's what I mean. The internal turmoil, as Dr. Rollins is alluding to. Right. And then what happens is people in higher places look at that. And then they push you away. They turn away from you, and they go try to find someone who is more singularly focused, and together. And then they make their investments over there. And then you're sitting here fighting over pennies, fighting over a zip code when you could have a nation. Right. That's why, we have the inner city conflicts that we have. Right. You're fighting over territories and you don't even own 1 square foot of property, but you're killing people for being on your block.
Right. Oh man. And Richard, I wish we could just put that in place to have leaders, 4-star generals and their command under them. But we need, I don't know, it's you got to have a singular focus and everyone to just kind of be able to fall in line, with the vision, and I think, the sense of grandeur, like it felt good to stand in front of those people. I stood in front of 100 people. What if I could get 1,000 people to listen to me? And we get, and I get it because we're people. You get excited about being seen. Like it may, even if you're not seeking it. The first time you speak, like I remember Pastor was saying his moment when he get to do the announcement in front of everybody. It's like I get this moment. Yeah. and just too many. Go ahead. You got this. You the bomb. You should be, there's always someone you should be on top. You should be leading this.
They spoke so well today. You should be in charge of it should be you every week doing this. Yeah. It should be me.
I'm going to see Pastor now.
Yeah. I want to start doing all the announcements. Such and such does it so well. And what you find out is not only are they, telling us or sharing the announcements.
Right.
They're also putting the announcements together. They're also orchestrating these events. They're all, like, oh wait, well, I just want to be the person on the microphone.
Right.
I want to be Lady Eloise.
Right. Right.
I'm Sanjay. I'm the face, but no power.
No power.
No influence.
Right. Richard said, he said, I stood in front of 700 and it felt so exciting. All right. All right, Pastor. Appreciate you. So we're going to get ready to get out of here. Yeah, Rich, I can understand, man. That probably was like an exciting moment. He says, speaking of, why there's an army behind Malcolm. Right. But, there was the infighting with them as well. So, I think, I believe, the coming together, like I'm not a descendant saying that we can't, and we can do this. I think if we can just get in the mindset of loving the part of the puzzle that we represent and knowing the impact we're making from where we stand, then we can achieve so much more. We can achieve so much more. We don't have to be the head. You don't have to be the lead. You could be second in command, third in command. I would, man, if I was just on the bridge with Martin Luther King, just boy, we going out there, just to be a part would be amazing. It's if we could just be excited just to be a part, to do our part, I think we could accomplish so much more together. And like Dr. Rollins was saying, not being so territorial and wanting to, this is my block, this is my piece, this is what we do, but learning to come together, to merge visions into one big agenda, to make something greater happen. Yeah, need to be unity and real focus, decide, all you agree on. Exactly. And even agree to disagree. We're not going to agree on everything. We're people, I'm not going to agree. If Dr. Rollins' head is like, I don't know if I agree on the tactics, but I agree on the vision. So we're going to keep pushing. She leading. Where are we going? We're going to make this thing happen. Right. Yeah. We will. Keep praying for us. Yes, we do have to get that live event rolling. Yes, indeed. We're building this up, man. We're building this up. Speaking of building, appreciate that. Quick segue. We are building, and if you're not already part of our community, text LW into 84576. Text LW into 84576. You'll always find out what's happening with the Brothers of Legacy as well as the other organizations. And make sure, we do, if you're feeling like you really want to help push it, of course, there's always a financial impact, a financial space for it. You say, women win in the end, right? They winning. So you can give Cash App, $BOL 2019, Cash App, $BOL 2019, whatever we have helps. Oh, also, I know I haven't really announced it officially, but I will be starting, we are starting a Patreon page. We'll be giving, there'll be insights and things like that. We'll be doing t-shirts and things. So give you the opportunity to give consistently as we build and grow and develop. So we'll be starting that I'm going to do it this week. So just stay connected. If you're part of the community, you'll get the text message when it launches, as soon as it launches, even if it's in the middle of the night. Okay, maybe not. But just stay connected so you always know what's going on, know what's happening with us. And I appreciate you guys being here. I don't take you guys being here for granted. T-shirts, probably more t-shirts starting out, hoodies and caps soon. I don't push hoodies as much because we're not in a cold state, but we probably will have some hoodies. We're in Georgia where it does not get cold. You get a cold week, but pretty much it's warm. So make sure you stay connected. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, same time, same channel. Appreciate all the help with the conversation. And you could be watching anything, but you're hanging out with us. So as always, before we close out, know that Brothers of Legacy loves you, but God loves you more. Stay prayed up. Stay connected. Appreciate it, Mama Corey. Thank you for always rocking and hanging with us and supporting. You need to come to Georgia. So we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. If you're connected to the text message, you'll get to know what the topic is. If not, then you're just going to be surprised. So like I said, stay connected, stay connected, stay connected. Plus, Facebook doesn't love us. That's just truth. I think a lot of content providers are getting the same thing. So join our community so you'll get the direct notification of when we go live. That's one of the main reasons I started doing this, because Facebook is not helping. They're not broadcasting. Even if you like the business page, people still not getting notifications. So join our community. Text LW into 84576. Text LW into 84576 and never miss an episode. All right. So we look forward to seeing you guys same time, same channel. And that's it. All right. Take care, guys. Be safe. Be safe. And we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.
I didn't want to catch
Good
that.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What's up, everybody?
This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. Ready to go live? Go to bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. That's bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. This episode is also brought to you by Self. Build credit now. Go to bit.ly/now build credit. bit.ly